It can be a flaw of mine, like a character flaw. Child, it's gonna be worthless. My goodness, Miss Priscilla, what did I do to you? Like, why are you like just calling me out? We are there, we show up for everyone else, but we often neglect ourselves. But let me tell you, I said, no, Michelle. Like, I literally had to be like, no, Michelle, this is the one promise you're keeping to yourself. I am so proud to announce. Hey, what's up, you guys? It's Michelle. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome to another video here on Chats with Michelle. You know, I always have to give context behind these videos, why they come about, etc. So here's this one. So basically, earlier this week, I woke up at 4:30 a.m. Yes, 4:30 a.m. in the morning. Now, admittedly, I am a morning person. So I am a morning person, but I'm not a 4:30 a.m. morning person. I'm more of like a 6:30 a.m. morning person. And yes, those 2 hours do make a huge difference. Okay, great, Michelle. You woke up at 4:30 a.m. in the morning this week. Kudos to you. Like, what is the point of that? Okay, well, let me just kind of explain to you why this is important. So basically, I woke up at 4:30 a.m. in the morning. I believe it was like on a Monday or Tuesday this week. And that was because I wanted to get ahead of my workday. I wanted to get a head start. And I knew I was going to have so much to do within work, within my own personal day. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to wake up super early in the morning. So I set my alarm the night before to an ungodly time of the morning. I pretty much woke up at 4:30 in the morning. I actually did get up and I worked for about an hour and a half. Then I went to the gym around 6:15 or so, whatever, for about 45 minutes to an hour. And then I came back home to do my quiet time. So as I was sitting and having my quiet time, I felt the Lord ask me a question. And it was pretty much, Michelle, would you have set your alarm at 4:30 a.m. just to spend some time with me? And that, I really had to sit with that in that moment, because like I said, I am a morning person, but I am not a 4:30 a.m. in the morning person. And I definitely don't, ideally wouldn't want to get up at 4:30 in the morning just to have quiet time. Like, that's just not me. Now, I'm not saying that waking up early in the morning just to work is a bad thing. It's not even necessarily that. But for me, it kind of convicted me in a way, because it pretty much showed me my priorities. What was so-called important to me. So I've shared this book so many times, I feel like, in the last couple of weeks, and that's because it's the book that I'm currently reading right now, which is I Surrender All by Priscilla Shirer. I'm actually almost done with it. But what has been so great about this book for me is that it's really helping me to examine my heart. So there's a part in the book that I want to read that she mentioned that really stuck out to me this week. And I feel like this channel is turning into a reading channel, because I feel like I'm always reading to you all. But like I said, I'm here because I want to share what it is that the Lord is placing on my heart, and how I think, or how I hope that it might resonate with you, and how you can also sit and examine your own heart. But it says this: yet often I didn't realize I was operating from a place of habit and obligation rather than passionate, enthusiastic fervor. I'd just grown so accustomed to the rhythm of doing, and I'd neglect the state of being. I loved him, but not first. And maybe I could have been satisfied with that, but the Father could not. When I read that, I was like, my goodness, Miss Priscilla, what did I do to you? Like, why are you just calling me out in this book? Because if I was honest with myself, if I was being transparent, I think, and I don't know if you can relate, but there has been so many times where you just do things out of habit and you're not really thinking about what it is that you're doing. You're not really pressing in. It's just like you're just doing the thing because it's the right thing to do, or it's the thing that you've always done. And if we were to take inventory of our heart, I think most of us would say, yeah, we love the Lord, right? I love the Lord. If you're watching this, you probably do as well. But is he actually first? So I had to challenge myself. So I talk about a lot ad nauseum at this point about not being a 4:30 a.m. girly. And I'm still not, to be clear. I'm still not a 4:30 a.m. girly. But let me tell you, that day when I woke up at 4:30 a.m., my goodness, the amount of a productive day that I had, if you know me, you know I love productivity, which can sometimes be my fault. Like it can be a flaw of mine, like a character flaw, because I like to be productive. I like to do, and I have to remind myself, like I said in like the previous video, that I need to pace myself, right? And not just do so much. But anyways, that's besides the point. So when I talk about challenging myself, I'm like, okay, Michelle, you may not be the 4:30 a.m. girly, but you can definitely make an effort to get up earlier. So I'm like, okay, well, let's try 5:30, 5:45. And the whole point of that is because I'm like, I need to prioritize spending time with the Lord first. And that's for me, right? Because that was my conviction. How I felt like, it was a thing of like, the order of importance in the way that I did things. And, as, the day is about to get started, it's like you're rushing to, spend this like quiet time real quick, or you're just like rushing through or just reading a really quick devotion just to get on about your day. And I'm just like, no, like I want to make time to do this first and anchor my day on this first, because the Lord is first, And to be clear, this is not saying that you have to have your quiet time with the Lord in the morning, the first thing of the day. That's what it is for me. Everyone's different, but for me, I know I am my best self when I wake up first thing in the morning. I am a morning person. I'm definitely the person that wakes up in the morning that's like, hey, good morning, how are you? Like, that's how I am. But let me tell you, by midday, afternoon, like, evening, I'm over it. You know what I mean? And I'm done with the day. So then, like, for me, it doesn't make any sense to then try to have this said quiet time with the Lord, because child, it ain't, child, it's gonna be worthless, So I know for me when I need to do that, and I'm like, it needs to be a priority. Just how I prioritize getting up to do all the other things, that needs to be a priority, not just like the last thing. Because to be fair, it was that day, it was kind of like, oh yeah, well, let me just do this. And you know what that thing is for you. You know exactly what it is. Like I said, it may not be the same conviction I have, but you know what it is. You know when you need to pause and break, and you know whether or not you need to make the Lord first because you love him. But if you were honest, he's not first. And this brings me to the part about keeping your promises. So in my last video, I talked about the call, or last few videos ago, I talked about the call that I had with my mentor, and how she shared that you should be intentional about keeping your promises, because oftentimes we are there, we show up for everyone else, everything else, but we often neglect ourselves. We neglect the things that we have to do. Case in point, the way that I ordered my morning that day. And like I said, it's not necessarily a bad thing that it was ordered that day, but it was like, if I'm keeping it real, the reason why I woke up so early is because I wanted to prioritize that, because I was like, you know what? I want to get a head start so I can just get a whole bunch in, and everything else was kind of like, yeah, I still just did some things for me, but it was more so like a rush. So I started doing this thing this week. I started doing it, and it's been really good so far. So you guys know I'm a planner girl. I love a good planner, a physical like paper planner. I don't have it in front of me now, but if I did, I would show you. But it's my physical paper planner. I love a good planner. But anyways, I started writing this thing in my planner, which is KMP, which stands for Keeping My Promise. So KMP, Keeping My Promise. And basically, this whole entire week, I wrote, what is my one KMP for the day? How am I going to keep my promise to myself today? So it was like one thing that I must do every single day to keep my promise to myself. Because I talked about this, right? We've been talking about this, how we have these goals, these New Year's things that we want to do. Here it is, we're rounding up the quarter of this first year, and oftentimes we fall off, or things just get discombobulated, or just like so much going on, and we often don't create action items for us to do every single day to keep those to fulfill those goals or things that we feel that we should do, you know, the desires, the different things that we want to do. And this also came from my mentorship call, right? Where she was like, well, what is one goal that you can do every single day? And I had started doing it, but you know, life happens. You get lost in the sauce and just life keeps moving and you're like, okay, I'm going to do it. And next thing you know, I had these like, I would write out goals for the day and it was we moved to the next day and moved to the next day. Next thing you know, it's like Thursday and I'm like, oh my goodness, I still haven't even done the thing. So I was like, you know what, how can I make this like more stand out, more of a mandatory thing that I must do? So like I said, I started writing KMP in my planner. And can I say, I am so proud to announce that I have kept every single promise to myself this week. And I want to encourage you to do the same. Remember, I talked about this year being all about pacing ourselves and not rushing, not feeling the need to do the absolute most. And I'm working on that because like I said, I am a productive girly at heart. I like to be productive. I like a checklist. Ooh, your girl loves a good checklist. I like checking things off, you know, marking things, highlighting things. But I had to remind myself, it's like I need to pace myself. And the only way I'm going to be able to do that is if I put things in place. And so I can share an example of how I was able, one of the ways I was able to keep my promise to myself was actually this video right here. I told myself a couple of days ago or so, one of these days this week, the one promise I had that day was to create the outline for this video. So me, I like to kind of have an outline, just bullet points of the things that I want to share so that I don't forget. And I like to like script it out. That's something that just works for me. And that was the one promise I had for myself. Now, why is that so significant, Michelle? You're like, okay, girl, good for you. You did an outline. No, well, because guess what? I was going to be filming later this week. So the next one promise I had to myself, which is actually today, the promise that I had to myself, I said, Michelle, you are going to film your video. Because if you're going to post it this week, you need to film it. So that's the one promise you need to keep to yourself. And actually, the one promise I have for myself today is actually to film and edit just because I won't have time later this week. But that's a great example because guess what? I realized I do not like the idea of filming and editing all in one day. For me, it's just seemed too much. So guess what? Now when I go into next week, and I actually kind of already started. When I go into next week, I said to myself, okay, Michelle, how can we make this process a lot less, you know, all bunched up? Like, so next week I'm going to be doing it differently where I would like write on one day, film on one day, and then edit on a totally separate day. That way I'm not doing everything at one time. And that's what I want you to take away from this video today is how can you keep your promise to yourself every single day? Let me tell you, as much as like once I get in front of the camera, like I enjoy it. I feel like, I would think y'all let me know. I feel like I'm really natural on camera. I enjoy talking. I feel like it's a part of the gift that the Lord gave me. And it's like, it kind of flows when I'm on here, right? However, I'll be real with you. Getting myself to sit down and write like and script and really just like, cause I feel like the Lord is always giving me different, you know, ideas and downloads and different things that he wants me to talk about. And like, I'll just make like little notes throughout the week, but then I have to actually sit and kind of like put my thoughts together. And I be dragging my feet. My goodness, I drag my feet. As much as I say that I love productivity, your girl also be procrastinating. But let me tell you, I said, no, Michelle, like I literally had to be like, no, Michelle, this is the one promise you're keeping to yourself. You did everything else today. You did work, and as you should. Let me say that too. I think that when the Lord gives you something, you should be a good steward over it. So I want to be clear what I'm not saying. What I'm not saying is that you do a piss poor job everywhere else in your life and you show up the best for yourself. No, you show up with excellence in every area of your life. You do your best in every area of your life. But like you do your best at work and how you show up for other people, you need to show up for yourself too. So for myself, as much as I didn't feel like it, and it was getting later in the evening, I said, no, Michelle, this is the one promise you're going to keep for yourself. So guess what? Your girl sat her tail down and I started writing and I was like, oh, it was dreadful at first. And then you want to know what happened? My friend texted me and in the middle of me writing, and it was such a good text conversation. So now I got distracted and I'm like texting her back and forth. And you know what I had to do? I had to pause. I had to turn my phone around. I said, no, you are not about to get distracted. You need to keep this promise to yourself. And once I got into the writing and everything, it was just like, I was overflowing. It's like I couldn't like write fast enough, type fast enough. But that's just what I want you to take away from this today. And I hope this is like you you get what I'm saying, and you can incorporate this into your own life within like the next week, the next couple days, etc. One of the things that I like to say is, what is something that you can do today that your future self will thank you for? Well, for me, and I'm kind of like, I feel like I'm reiterating this so much, but I just really want to drive the point here. For me, the thing that my future self thanked me for was writing this outline for today's video. Because guess what? When it was time for me to record the video, I didn't then have to write the video, film the video, edit the video. I already told you I'm editing and filming this on the same day, you know? So my future self was so thankful for the Michelle in the past that decided to keep that promise to herself to make it easier on this Michelle here in the future. So I propose that same question to you. What is something that you can do today that your future self will thank you for? How can you keep your promise to yourself today? And with that being said, thanks so much for watching today's video. Listen, if you found this video valuable, consider sharing it with someone who may also find this video valuable. And while you're at it, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe because listen, we've got so much to chat about. Bye.